Now, when I was growing up in the remote English countryside, I used to go to piano lessons, and my friends all thought that it was rather uncool or snobby to play classical music. But today's prospective guests are definitely trying to change all that. Bonnie Brown and Michelle Wood are the co-artistic directors of Concerts Without Borders. Thank you very much for coming to talk to us.
Thank you. Before
we get to the questions, let's listen now to a little section of you both playing some music. So Bonnie, I want to come to you first. How did the idea of offering this free-to-all classical music concerts come about?
Well, it was born out of the fact that I got invited often to these amazing concerts at the Australian Embassy, and they were always closed to the public. And every time I thought, gosh, I know at least 100 people who would love to hear this. And so I just quite casually put it to them, well, we should have a public concert series so everybody can enjoy it and really showcase the talent that we have coming through. And they said, well, yes, let's do it. So it was just a casual discussion that turned into an amazing adventure.
Michelle, you have another concert coming up on November the 18th, which is this Sunday, I understand. I want to ask you, how do you go about making classical music accessible on stage?
I think it's more about making sure that people understand that concerts aren't kind of like this incredibly formal affair where kind of you go into a hall and suddenly you have to sit in a certain way and you don't know when to clap. And actually for us, it's just about getting a group of our friends together, being able to play amazing music and enable people to see that it's just kind of, you know, we're regular people like anyone else. We just happen to play.
Have friends who are world-class.
Yeah, exactly. So we just happen to have, you know, amazing friends who are incredible musicians, and we wanted to be able to share that with people. So I think it's about breaking down the process of being in a concert hall and making it not so scary.
But Bonnie, do you understand the views of several people who might be watching at home that say, you know, classical music definitely isn't for me, it's intimidating, it's snobby, it's highbrow. How do you get around that?
I think the best way is to come along and see. No, it's true that it definitely has this reputation, but I can tell you that every single time I invite someone, they come along, they have that personal connection maybe with me, with a performer or a reason to come along, they always say at the end, God, that's really not what I was expected, that was amazing, or just the whole gamut of emotions. I wasn't expecting to cry, to laugh, to all of these things. And I think it really is, that's what we're trying to do, that's why the series is free, that's why we want it open to anyone who wants to come. Come if you're curious, come and see what it's about.
And you're both also really keen to get parents to bring along their children to these concerts. Why is that?
Yeah, I think, you know, children that are kind of at a stage where they might be learning an instrument, so from about 6 and above, enabling them to see that, and it's kind of like watching athletes in a way. We're just athletes with, you know, really small muscles. But it's really exciting. It's not something that kind of, you know, if you're, you know, learning a musical instrument at school, it's actually so much fun to be able to be with your friends and play. Yeah. And we'd love to be able to get that next generation of musicians understanding that and being able to kind of learn that playing together is something that's a lot of fun.
That is an essential idea of having a younger audience as well. It's that you want that kind of the education element of coming to a concert, which is kind of auto-education just by being there.
On that point, Bonnie, we should just mention that you have won the award of the Best Music Teacher in Paris very recently. Tell us about how you got into teaching music here in France.
Oh, well, I think we don't have enough time for that question, but I've taught, this is my 20-year anniversary of being a teacher. I started very young. I've always felt incredibly grateful for the teaching that I have had, and I felt music is something that is a master and apprentice kind of way of learning. You can read books about it, but nothing beats actually going and having a lesson with someone who really knows what they're doing. And out of gratitude for the experiences I've had, I've always felt that teaching was an absolutely essential part of my role as a musician, not only as a performer, but I had to do that. I had the great honour of being awarded this prize. I'm in the running again this year, so it's Expatriates magazine. Go online and have a look. They're amazing categories, so yeah.
We'll have a look. Now, if we were to fast forward another 500 years, do you think that pop or jazz will become this kind of like this genre that people have forgotten about that should be relived?
I think it's so hard to know, but one thing I know for certain is that music's always going to be part of culture and part of human life, because I think it's got connections with people, whether it be pop, jazz, whatever.
Good music will always live on.
Yeah, and for us, I mean, we're classical musicians who still love pop and jazz music. So, you know, it's the sort of thing that I truly believe that, you know, in that amount of time, it'll still be a part of it.
Do either of you have a guilty pleasure that's not classical that you love to go home and listen to on your playlist?
Bonnie definitely does.
Yeah. I'm a huge fan of electronic dance music, like a really big fan.
And you, Michelle?
Oh, I love bands like Radiohead. So actually, I don't listen to huge amounts of classical music at home, but like I get the best of both worlds.
Okay, Michelle Wood and Bonnie Brown, thank you so much for coming to us. That's sadly all we have time for. Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Thank you.